I am Moctezuma II, the great-grandson of Moctezuma I, the ninth ruler of the Mexica, the proud people you call the Aztecs. I was born around 1470s into the noble Tenochtitlán lineage, and I rose to rule Tenochtitlan, the jewel of the Valley of Mexico, a city that rose like a dream from the shimmering lake waters. My father was Ashiokatl, a great warrior, and I carried his legacy with pride, as well as the weight of the ancestors who watched over my every decision. When I took the throne in 1502, our empire was vast and powerful, spanning valleys and mountains, reaching over what is now Mexico and beyond. Our culture flourished, marked by grand temples, sacred rituals, and the wisdom of our ancestors. To protect our people, we needed the gods' favor, and I performed the rituals and sacrifices they demanded with diligence. To you, it may seem harsh, but to us these offerings were the lifeblood of our world. But yet, one day there were arrivals of the outsiders, the omens in our lands. The fire in the sky, the lake boiling, the temple struck by lightning. We felt the tremors in the earth, and we could not ignore the warnings. My priest spoke of strange visions, and I knew something momentous was approaching, as in 1519, strangers appeared on our shores, led by a man named Hernan Cortes. I was told they came from the east, white-skinned and bearded, with armor that gleamed like mirrors and horses as tall as men. I sent gifts, precious gold and feathers, hoping to understand them, hoping that respect would bring peace. They entered Tenochtitlan as guests under my protection, but I saw quickly that they held no reverence for our gods or people. They demanded gold, taking it greedily, and their soldiers stirred unrest among my people. Some of my own people began to question me, fearful that I had invited a curse upon us. The strangers misused my sympathy, and when violence erupted, I was taken captive in my own palace, which caused my people to lose faith in me, and me to lose the power to protect them, unfortunately.
The Aztec Empire, known as the Triple Alliance, was one of the most remarkable civilizations in Mesoamerican history. It emerged in the 14th century when the Mexica people, who would later be known as the Aztecs, established their capital city of Tenochtitlan on an island in Lake Texcoco in 1325. The Mexica formed an alliance with two other city-states, Texcoco and Tlacopan, in 1428, which enabled them to dominate the Valley of Mexico and beyond. This alliance marked the birth of the Aztec Empire, a political and military entity that grew rapidly in power and influence. Moctezuma II ascended the throne in 1502, succeeding his uncle Ahuitzotl. His reign represented the zenith of the Aztec Empire in terms of territorial expansion, wealth, and cultural achievements. Moctezuma was a charismatic and ambitious ruler who sought to solidify the empire's dominance through military conquest, diplomacy, and religious fervor. Under Moctezuma, the Aztec Empire reached its greatest territorial extent. He launched numerous military campaigns to subjugate neighboring city-states and secure tribute from conquered regions. Moctezuma's forces advanced into modern-day Oaxaca, Guerrero, and parts of the Gulf Coast, bringing new territories under Aztec control. These campaigns not only enriched the empire with tribute in the form of goods, labor, and human captives, but also reinforced the Aztecs' fearsome reputation as formidable warriors. Most Aztec soldiers came from the commoner class. These warriors were expected to serve in the military as part of their societal obligations. They were equipped with basic weapons like spears, slings, and wooden swords edged with obsidian, macuahuitl. While their role was foundational, their contributions were often overshadowed by the feats of the elite warrior classes. There were two elite groups in the army, the Eagles and the Jaguars. The Eagle warriors represented the sun and were associated with the god Huitzilopochtli. These soldiers were highly trained and experienced, earning their rank by capturing a set number of enemy warriors during campaigns. They wore distinctive costumes adorned with feathers and eagle helmets, symbolizing their connection to the sun and their role as fierce protectors of the empire. Jaguar warriors were equally prestigious and drew their symbolism from the jaguar, an animal revered for its strength and stealth. Their attire featured jaguar pelts and masks, which struck fear into their enemies. Like the Eagle warriors, they earned their rank through acts of bravery and the successful capture of enemies. One of Moctezuma's key strategies was the use of intimidation and psychological warfare. His armies often employed overwhelming force, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies. However, some city-states, such as Tlaxcala, resisted Aztec domination, sowing seeds of dissent that would later be exploited by Spanish invaders. Moctezuma presided over a highly stratified society that functioned efficiently under a centralized administration. At the top were the nobility, Pipiltin, and priests, who wielded significant influence. Commoners, Masahualtin, made up the majority of the population, contributing labor, military service, and tribute. Slaves, Tlacotin, also played roles in the economy and rituals. Moctezuma reinforced this hierarchy by centralizing power in the capital and appointing loyal governors to oversee conquered territories. This governance model ensured the flow of tribute, but also bred resentment among subjugated regions. The reign of Moctezuma was marked by significant cultural and religious undertakings. The Aztecs believed their empire was sustained by the favor of their gods, particularly Huitzilopochtli, the sun and war deity. To ensure this divine favor, Moctezuma oversaw grandiose religious ceremonies that involved the construction of temples and the offering of human sacrifices. These rituals were both a spiritual necessity and a means of reinforcing social order and imperial authority. Moctezuma also fostered advancements in the arts and architecture. The capital city of Tenochtitlan became a bustling metropolis with sophisticated infrastructure, including aqueducts, canals, and causeways. The Templo Mayor, the central temple dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, stood as a symbol of the empire's power and devotion. The arrival of Spanish conquistadors led by Hernan Cortes in 1519 marked a pivotal moment in Moctezuma's reign. Initially, Moctezuma welcomed the Spaniards, perceiving them as potential divine emissaries associated with the prophecy of Quetzalcoatl's return. He sent lavish gifts, including gold, which only fueled the Spaniards' ambitions. Cortes capitalized on divisions within the region, forming alliances with discontented city-states like Tlaxcala to undermine Aztec authority. A key figure in this interaction was Malinche, a Nahua woman who served as an interpreter, advisor, and intermediary for Cortes. Born Malinche, she was sold into slavery and later gifted to Cortes by a Maya chieftain. Her multilingual abilities in Nahuatl and Maya, along with her quick grasp of Spanish, enabled her to act as the primary translator for Cortes. Her presence and counsel were instrumental during negotiations and battles, earning her a place as one of the most controversial figures in Mexican history. Seen by some as a traitor for aiding the Spaniards and by others as a survivor who ensured her own agency in a tumultuous era. Notably, Malinche also bore a son, Martin Cortes, fathered by Hernan Cortes. Martín is often regarded as one of the first mestizos, symbolizing the cultural and racial blending that would define colonial Mexico. Recognized and legitimized by Cortes, Martín received privileges and an education, reflecting the complex personal and political dynamics of the era. Following Moctezuma's death, the Aztecs resisted fiercely under the leadership of his successor Cuauhtémoc. However, the combination of Spanish military technology, native alliances, and devastating epidemics of smallpox ultimately led to the fall of Tenochtitlan in 1521. The Aztec Empire's demise marked the end of an era and the beginning of Spanish colonial rule in Mesoamerica. The Aztec Empire's achievements in governance, warfare, culture, and urban planning continue to captivate historians and archaeologists. Moctezuma's reign, despite its tragic conclusion, represents a period of unparalleled splendor and complexity. The story of the Aztecs serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of empires and the enduring impact of cultural encounters.